I'm the representative of the President of the United States of America, accredited to Sierra Leone. For me, it's been a real joy to be here, and I've enjoyed every moment of my time in the country so far. We have to take down the rhetoric. What Sierra Leone needs is an environment in which everyone is working together to promote national unity. United States view, what we're hoping is that the Electoral Review Commission will put out a comprehensive report that looks at two areas. First, legislative and constitutional changes that are necessary to ensure that the various deficiencies that were identified in the 2023 elections, the 2018 elections, the 2012 elections do not repeat themselves. And secondly, we're hoping that the committee will make recommendations as to how the government moves forward with accountability for the incidents that took place during the 2023 elections.
For some, there would be a rerun of the election. Is that in any way possible?
So, one, the rerun of the election is something that has come up multiple times from multiple quarters in the media. The scope of work that was laid out for the Electoral Review Committee, both in the Agreement for National Unity and in the Constitution of the Committee by the President, makes no mention of a rerun of the elections. And I think it doesn't do so for a couple of reasons. First, the time frame in which the electoral results could be challenged in court has long expired. The opposition made a decision to pursue other means to resolve their disputes than through a court challenge. Under Sierra Leonean law, as I understand it, a court challenge is the only way that we could look at invalidation of the electoral results. And as I say, under your law, there are specific time frames under which that has to be undertaken, which have expired. So I don't think that that is a realistic scenario to talk about. I think what we need to be looking at, as I've said, is one, legislation, and two, accountability. I don't think talking about invalidation of results or rerun of the elections is helpful because it's not realistic. Let me start with the listener who asked for the definition of tripartite. The reason they call it tripartite is because it has three co-chairs. One of those co-chairs comes from the government of Sierra Leone, one comes from the All Parties Congress, and one comes from the United Nations. So that's why we call it tripartite, because there are three parties involved in chairing it, and three parties involved in the work of the committee. In terms of what is the committee's mandate, I think the committee's mandate was to review all of Sierra Leone's elections since she became a multi-party democracy. But the mandate says that whatever the committee recommends has to be realistic and it has to be implementable, which is why when people talk about are we going to invalidate the results and have a new election, as I said earlier, Sierra Leonean law is fairly clear on this point. That can be done by the courts based on an electoral petition filed within a specific frame of time. The opposition chose not to file a petition seeking the invalidation with the courts during that time frame. There isn't a space for a rerun. There isn't a space for an invalidation. So what the committee is focusing on is what is implementable.
The program now Good Morning Salute the Country from 98.1 FM. We round up with messages now Facebook page. This one Mohammed Tarawali. Please must ask the ambassador that if the tripartite investigation find out that the election was rigged and they recommend that there should be a rerun.
I think I've said my views on the rerun. I think the block to anything like that would be Sierra Leone's law. Sierra Leone's law is relatively clear on how electoral disputes are handled, and we're well outside the time frame where that law would allow for such a rerun to take place. And I think it is very unlikely that the committee would recommend something that could not be implemented under Sierra Leonean law.